sim racing news from all over the world right here, right now. Greetings Romies and welcome to romrom.net, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing, and to a regular news roundup. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Serta and I will be your host for this video. If you have any news for us, send us a mail to news@romrom.net. Oi there! Last week we decided to not publish news as we only had the new iRacing season to talk about. Little did we know this week would be so full of news. Come on, sim racing companies, give us a break. Think of our job as news reporters, or not, come to think of it, just publish new content. We dedicate this news edition to Taylor Hawkins, resting power mate, and thank you for your art. While we on PC think Wreckfest has reached the end of development, Nintendo Switch players are in for a treat as the game will be released there on the 21st of June, and you can be a part of the Ferrari story if you register for the Ferrari eSports series, see the link in our description, and try to beat drivers from Europe, the US of A, Canada and Mexico, which I suppose means you'll have to beat around double as many drivers as last year's 30,000. More details about the Ferrari eSports series can be found following the link up there. And it's completely unspecific, but the makers of the charming arcader Art of Rally have published a picture on their Twitter account with a tropical location in what is clearly the typical style of their games. Only thing added to that was a comment saying it would certainly be the most chill location yet. We'll let you know as soon as we know what it means. They had been silent for a while, but not anymore. Race Room released the track Sepang yesterday, one of those Tilke monstrosities nobody wants to see, but I suppose there's a kink for everyone, right? And hey, this one's for free and should already be in your track collection at Race Room, because you do have Race Room, right? So thank you Race Room for Sepang. Oh, and come join the Euro Truck Simulator 2 convoy in an hour, or join the stream and ask us anything that comes to mind. We're celebrating, we now have more than 2,000 members of the RomRom family. iRacing's developers sure have kept busy, because iRacing got tons of changes and new content with their Season 2 of 2022. Hold on tight, this is going to be quite the ride. Let's start with new cars. We have the Aston Martin Vantage GT4, as could be seen in the 2020 IMSA series and since then. Next is the, let me see if I pronounce this right, Hyundai Veloster NTC, again a car present in IMSA, and it seems iRacing released it in the NTC configuration, which was built specifically for the racing world in the USA. We follow those two with a classic, the NASCAR 1987 Buick LeSabre, which, as you already can imagine, you're all clever boys and girls after all, is the car that raced on NASCAR in 1986 and 1987. We stay in the American continent and in touring, but move to Brazil, as the next two cars are both from the Brazilian Stock Car series. We start with the Chevrolet Cruze in its Stock Car Brazil configuration. Fans of WTCR will recognize at least the name, as the Cruze is part and parcel of that series, as it is from the Stock Car series. Fans of Automobilista 2 will know the car, as it's included in the Brazilian sim in its 2019, 2020 and 2021 configuration and liveries, and we'd be surprised if Reza does not get the 2022 license. We stay in Brazil stock cars, as the next car you can buy in iRacing is the Toyota Corolla, a car that first sniffed Brazil Stock Car Series air in 2020. Since then, it's been driven by renowned drivers like Rubens Barrichello or Tony Kanaan. And last in this impressive long list is the iRacing Formula IR04, which is meant as an entry-level open-wheeler with aerodynamic downforce. Okay, catching my breath here, because the cars are only the beginning. We continue with the new tracks, which are not as numerous as the cars, but still. We start with a dirt racing oval. The Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55 in Missouri has seen dirt driving in almost every year since 1987 and features 19-degree banks on the curves and 10-degree banking on the straights. We move to Down Under for the next one. You may know the Australian Winton Motor Raceway from rFactor 2 or Automobilista, and now you'll be able to buy it for iRacing, which brings it AI ready in two configurations, the classic club circuit and the configuration known as National Circuit, which was set up in 1997. Let's get a little bit into the details of the update of the sim that comes with this new season. Now you can limit AI drivers to a specific number of tires, as well as fix the tire compound they've used in qualifying as the one they have to use at the start of the race. The paint shop now has a couple of new sponsored decals you can add, still no Rom decal though. Pity. For those of us who race with VR, we can now decide if we want to use our monitor, offer our firstborn, data to Oculus, or use OpenVR. You can change your choice anytime in the iRacing UI. The netcode has been cleansed up and made more reliable, and let us know how much more. iRacing's netcode is quite infamous. This should make it easier to race wheel to wheel, door to door, or in general race as close as it's possible. Also, several improvements have been done to the AI code, as well as adding new cars and tracks where the AI can race you. For those of you involved in race control, you can use a rule whereas drivers must use multiple tire compounds during a race. Should a driver not comply to the rule, he or she will be disqualified at the end of the race. This, of course, can only be selected when the race involves cars with multiple compounds and only applies to road races. This rule will be used in official Series 2 from now on, so watch out for it. On the cosmetic or visual side of things, crowds will now be lightened up by the headlights depending on the day within a race week. The type and amount of non-racing cars will be adjusted if you have the graphic setting performance event activated, and the damage visuals have been updated. Keeping in line with that, the slight damage visible from trading paint has been updated, and AstroTurf does not produce skid marks or smoke anymore. When you are in the cockpit, and in case you cannot see the car's dashboard, you can press capital D for an interface box to appear with color-coded RPM and temperature values for the vehicle. This interface box can be moved around to place it where you need it. Support for ultra-wide screens has been updated, with the sim not treating them as triple monitors anymore and by default showing the UI on the whole width of it. This setting can be changed through changes in the app.ini file. You think this is the end? Nope. There's more. This is reaching razor levels of detail and work, am I right? There's new spotter messages for refueling and fuel management, as well as for tire compound changes and to help you find your pit stall. The spotter messages can now be heard in Latin American Spanish, and the Italian spotter pack got new messages. And physics changes, here we go. GT3 cars have been updated based on real-world information, including tire properties and parameters, detail and realism of the aerodynamic model and suspension, spring and anti-roll bar rates. GT4 cars' fuel fill rates have been updated. On the 1988 NASCAR Classic cars, the rear frame has been strengthened to prevent excessive damage, while on the other hand the side panels have been weakened, so the damage is more realistic according to the new damage model. On touring cars, aerodynamic models have been updated, as well as the allowable camber changes. All around, the standard setups have been updated for most cars and car series, as well as a myriad of other changes which you can read if you follow the link in our description. It's a long read, so don't say we didn't warn you. Moving on to tracks, these are some of the most important changes that have been applied to them. Track limits on Monza GP have been updated, and the AI is now able to race here. On Charlotte Motor Speedway, it was possible to use a shortcut, drive onto the grass and finish the lap faster. Now you won't be able to do that. Something similar has been corrected with regards to pitting at Hockenheimring and Lanier National Speedway. Also, on the rallycross configuration of Charlotte, you won't be penalized as badly when taking an incorrect Joker lap as you were before, but you will be penalized more harshly in Limebrook Park if you bypass the chicane at turn 5-6. DRS zones have been updated on Zolder as well as in Bale Isle and Red Bull Ring. Unluckily, they found the missing number 3 for the clock of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, but they didn't find the stolen speed limit sign at the start of the pit lane at Imola. the vandals once again terrorizing parts of Italy. Unluckily, it seems adding rainy weather was not ready for this release just yet, a feature that iRacing has been talking about for a while. It'll come, don't worry, but making money out of new content seems to have been the higher priority. No, there's still a lot of the US to cover. That's not what we mean by the title. What we mean is that as of now, you can go to any in-game truck dealership and come out with an international 9900i if you have the in-game money, of course. This is a very classic American style of truck with that nose that European trucks don't have. Not only does it have an extra wide bunk, but look at that instrument panel. It does look good, doesn't it? Keeping in line with the many real-life configurations, SCS brings different configurations with air filters, sleeper options, exhaust options, options for the interior of the cab, and as always, a bunch of accessories for outside or for the inside of the cab. Contrary to what SnowRunner does, in ATS you don't have to pay anything extra to be able to get this truck, as while it comes as a DLC, it's free of charge anyway and it gets added to your library automatically. Kunos released the so-called Challengers Pack DLC this week, the one Marco Masaruto spoke about. See the link up there. And it's already available on Steam for the fair price of €11 USD and GBP. I mean, it's 5 cars for the price of one iRacing car, so... And yes, the price is no big surprise, as Kunos DLCs always have had very fair prices, but it's always nice to see one company not falling into the greed and microtransaction hell. GT7! As expected and announced, it brings the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2, the BMW M2 CS Racing, the Ferrari 488 GT3 Challenge Evo, the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo 2 and the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup Type 992 to the tracks of Assetto Corsa Competizione. Of all of these, only the Audi was added to an existing series, the GT3 series. All others are one-off, and we suppose the Ferrari will be the one used in the Ferrari eSport series we've talked about in the past and in this news. As far as we can see, you can mix them with the others in a multi-class configuration. If the comments we've heard in the community of some misplaced physics are true, expect a hotfix quite soon. Kunos are quick in solving these kind of errors. With any luck, the fix will come before the DLC sees a release for Xbox and PlayStation. Oh yeah, while they were at it, the update that brought the DLC into the sim also seems to have fixed the force feedback for users of Fanatec wheels, because Assetto Corsa Competizione is now at 1812. Man, that's a mouthful. And the update brought some fixes in the physics as well as balancing in the performance for many of the cars in the sim. Also, some minor graphics issues were solved. As we said, we expect the 1.8.1.3 to come soon if the issues with the physics we've heard turn out to be true. The details of the update are, as always, in the link in our description. I'll spare you the easy joke of calling this sale epic, but we'll tell you that until the 7th of April you can get WRC10 for €30 USD for the standard edition or €36 USD for the deluxe edition, and the WRC10 DLCs are reduced by 15%. WRC9 is available for €12 USD while WRC8 is available for €5 USD. If you fancy something more arcadey, Monster Jam Steel Titans is at €16 USD, half the original price. Absolute Drift is at €4 USD, as is Mud Runner. Or you can get Art of Rally for €13 USD for the standard game or €19 USD for the deluxe edition. SnowRunner, on the other hand, is reduced to €19 USD 50 cents and worth every penny, with some of the season or seasons passes reduced too. Another game that has to do a lot with off-roading, Overpass, is available for €14. And if you want it, go and get the deluxe edition because it's at the same price and has been for a while. If you like this video and would like to see more, consider becoming a patron, thus letting us spread our wings. Amongst other perks, it will fix your name for posterity like this. A big thank you to our patrons. If you come here regularly, when time permits, please consider subscribing. Studio 397 set some of their developers to work on ironing out the rough spots of some of their tracks, and they are releasing those updates right away without waiting for their normal scheduled release, which is still planned for May. Let's start with the newest release, Daytona, a paid track. Not only have they gone through the code with a fine comp and have therefore improved the frame rates when racing on any configuration, they've also made other small changes like optimizing the RVs you see at the side of the track or having the AI be better at pit entry as well as on the track. Also, there were some not further specified issues with safety vehicles, that's pace cars for you at the other side of the pond, which are now fixed. Next on their list is Lime Rock Park, which is a free track you can get at the workshop in its 2012 configuration. The biggest improvements have to do with AI behavior, including pit entry and some small tweaks to the graphics. Bearing in mind, this is one of the tracks that already got the bettered graphics through PBR. In addition to things like changing the brightness of distance markers, they have added anti-cut curbs to the first chicane. Some special tweaks should bring the loading times for this track down significantly. Moving on, we come to the less known track of Monza. Kidding. You may remember this one being added as a paid track not too long ago. The update took care of reducing the loading times, improving the AI behavior, and adding details to the graphics here and there. One of my personal favorites is Sebring, which is another paid track in rFactor 2 that has been also improved. Yet again, it should now load faster, it got fixes to the ambient light, and they fixed an issue where the pit entry markers were not visible on low graphic settings. And it may make many of you happy that the track cut settings have been made less strict. The next one's a free one you can get at the workshop. Silverstone will also load faster, the historic layout cameras got fixed, the layout names have been brought in line to what everyone calls them, and it got some minor graphics improvements. In further news around rFactor 2, Motorsport Games has partnered with Romain Grosjean to assist in the development of rFactor 2 and esports events. You may remember Grosjean as the driver who almost decapitated Alonso at Spa and who survived a horrible crash in Bahrain, or you may have heard his name around IndyCar as after his rookie year he now drives for the well-known Andretti Autosport team. It is expected of him to take part in 4 technical test sessions for rFactor 2, and we very much expect his extensive experience driving open-wheelers, especially including IndyCar, will be very much put to use testing the rFactor 2 engine that, as we all know, is expected to be the heart of the upcoming IndyCar sim that Motorsport Games is expected to publish next year. And I don't think they want to mess this up as badly as they did NASCAR 21. He will also throw in his expertise in the Le Mans Virtual Series and the IndyCar Motorsport Games Pro Challenge, having driven in both series. Besides, we've seen him sitting at a rig, so at least he knows sim racing exists. In further news around rFactor 2, the competition system now went into Season 2. And for more videos as good as this, check the playlist to the left or the video to the right. Until next time, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other on the podium.